Ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate to have with us Vice Admiral Girish Luthra, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, ADC, Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief Western Naval Command as the chief guest. Specialized in navigation and direction, operated extensively on naval warships, dealt with strategy, net assessments, plans, operations, disaster management, acquisitions, budget and finance, foreign cooperation, cyber, space and training, held key and challenging leadership, management and HR roles, published, presented number of documents, papers in India and abroad. He has held a number of key appointments and authored, steered several key official documents. Currently, Chairman, Maritime History Society, Mumbai, and Vice President, Yachting Association of India, Patron, Indian Naval Watermanship Training Center, Mumbai, and Trustee Chairman, Sea Cadet Corps, India. He has to his credit research work, including papers, reports published. Among many honors and commendations, he has been awarded the Vishishta Seva Medal, Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, and Param Vishishta Seva Medal by the President of India. I invite our chief guest, Vice Admiral Girish Luthra, for the inaugural address.
Mr. S. Ramadurai, Dr. Ashok Khosla, Mr. Ranjit Bhattakur, Lieutenant General Arun Sahni, Dr. Kirit Parekh, distinguished members of the Club of Rome, industry, academia, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the outset, I would like to thank the Indian National Association of the Club of Rome for inviting me to this prestigious conference. Though the theme of the conference is not directly related to the defense forces, it is not about geopolitics, it is not about international security, it is not about national security, it is not about maritime issues that we often attend conferences and speak on. But I'm here today, like everyone else, because the issue of resource resilience and sustainable development of the Indian economy is of paramount importance for all of us. Also, the maritime sector and water-based economy, what is now being referred to as the blue economy, is a major contributor to the natural resource basket of India. As was mentioned earlier by Dr. Khosla, the Club of Rome's journey itself, spanning 5 decades, has been fascinating. It is recognized globally as a leading think tank on international issues, including the world economic system, climate change, and environment. As he also brought out the seminal first report on limits to growth, which was published way back in 1972. More than 50 years have gone by, and now this issue is up on the agenda as a primary concern of the global community. The Club of Rome India also, as he mentioned, was set up in 2011 and has made significant progress in its mission to be a catalyst for change by helping in development of agendas for the government, industry, and citizens towards a better life which is in harmony with our surroundings. Today, resource resilience, or in other words, sustainable use and management of natural resources, is the biggest challenge facing us. And as has been brought out this morning, ours is a resource-hungry economy with major sectors such as manufacturing, agriculture, construction, transportation, and services, all of them dependent on natural resources. In a span of just 40 years, between 1970 and 2010, extraction of raw materials, primary raw materials in India has increased by over 420%. As per 2010 figures, our material demand is the 3rd highest in the world. An example was given earlier as to how Indians, we think that there is this frugal concept in India, But yet, resource consumption is quite high in India, and today we are the third in the world behind just China and the United States. And by all estimates, this trend is only going to pick up. While economic development is essential for the growth and prosperity of India's masses, especially for poverty alleviation of about 1/5 of our population, it is equally important that this economic prosperity does not come at an irreversible cost. In order to realize this, we would need to achieve resource security and resource inclusivity. As most of you are aware, resource security means ensuring the continued availability of resources, including minerals, food, water, forest, soil, etc. Some of these were covered in the last presentation. And resource inclusivity means making these resources available to the weak and marginalized sections of the society. If resource security and resource inclusivity are the goals, then resource efficiency and resource sufficiency are the primary means to achieve these goals. Globally and within India, the realization of the need for astute policy in this regard, and more importantly, for its implementation, has been on the rise. There was some reference earlier. As you all know, in 2015, at the UN, the global leaders adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, or the SDGs, as it is referred to, with a set of 17 SDGs, with an aim to guide policy and funding, while balancing the three most crucial needs, which are environment, economy, and society. SDG 12 specifically aims for sustainable consumption and production patterns by integrating resource resilience in national and sectoral plans, business practices, consumer behavior, and management of hazardous chemicals and wastes. Other SDGs, many of them, have similar objectives, such as SDG on zero hunger, SDG on clean water and sanitation, on clean energy, decent work and economic work. Again, reference was made about providing jobs which are paying reasonably, industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, life below water, life on land. All of these have a bearing on resource efficiency. The Indian government also has moved towards more comprehensive strategies on resource efficiency. In 2015, in November, the Indian Resource Panel was set up as an advisory body. In June 2017, June of this year itself, the Niti Aayog published its strategy paper on resource efficiency, born out of the work of the Indian Resource Panel. So while policy frameworks are being developed, some have been developed, some more are being developed, the need is to shift focus towards implementation, which is, I think, quite self-evident. It is here that conferences such as this can play an important role in achieving coherence in policy and facilitating their implementation. When we look at achieving resource resilience, there is a tendency to overlook the bounty of natural resources that our surrounding water bodies hold. The asset value of oceans is pegged at 24 trillion US dollars, with an annual value addition of about 2.5 US trillion dollars. This economic value is accrued from maritime transport, submarine cables which form the backbone of global telecommunications, food in terms of fisheries and aquaculture, oil and gas, marine tourism, shore-based commercial activity, emerging sources of energy such as tides, waves, currents, offshore wind, and rare earth minerals obtained from deep-sea mining. The blue economy is best described as the integration of water-based economies, that is, those associated with inland waterways, seas, and the oceans in a socially inclusive, environmentally sustainable, and economically viable manner. This ecosystem, as earlier the example of plastic was given, this ecosystem, that is the ecosystem at sea, the blue economy ecosystem, is already under stress from some quarters, including environmental degradation, overfishing, marine pollution, ocean acidification. India ranks 6th globally in marine fish capture and 3rd in farmed aquaculture production. Studies indicate that biologically sustainable level of fish stocks have seen a depletion from 90% in 1974 to 69% in 2013, with the downward trend continuing. Marine pollution in the form of increasing quantities of trash and flotsam in the oceans is a clear and present danger. Most of this trash is non-biodegradable waste, plastic, which finds its way inside fish and mammals, leading to their death and depletion. It is evident that there is already a need for greening the blue economy. It is our responsibility that we do not repeat the mistakes made on land at sea. India's blue economy has tremendous potential if managed well. India is endowed with 7,500 kilometers of coastline, 14,500 kilometers of rivers, canals, backwaters, creeks, and lakes, of which 5,600 kilometers is navigable by mechanized vessels. Our exclusive economic zone, that is the zone in which we have full sovereign rights for exploitation of natural resources, covers an area of over 2 million square kilometers, which equals to almost 2/3 of the Indian landmass. So the area that we have available sovereign rights for exploitation of natural resources at sea is 2/3 of the land area that is available with India. In managing this vast maritime space, the start point would be maritime spatial planning, which is the process of analyzing and allocating the spatial distribution of human activity in a socially responsible manner. Ocean energy itself primarily comprises ocean thermal energy conversion, or OTEC, wave energy based on wind-wave interaction, tidal energy based on rise and fall of water, tidal stream energy based on flow of water in channels and inland waterways, wind energy in coastal regions, and deep-sea mining for materials needed for renewable energy infrastructure. We have taken a few steps. These are very, very initial steps in tapping ocean energy in India. The identified potential of tidal energy in the country is 9,000 megawatt, distributed across the Gulf of Cambay, Gulf of Kutch, and the Sundarbans Delta. A 3.65 megawatt tidal energy plant is functional at present in Sundarbans, while 50 megawatt plants are planned in the other two areas, that is Gulf of Cambay and Gulf of Kutch. Due to existing seawater differential in the Indian Ocean, potential for ocean thermal energy conversion plants in India is also significant. The Indian Navy is exploring the setting up of a 20 megawatt OTEC plant off the coast of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Wind power generation capacity has significantly increased in India, with the country reaching the 4th spot globally in 2015. Presently, the total installed wind capacity is around 33 gigawatt, with the coastal regions having the largest shares. These measures are initial steps, and more would be needed in terms of policy and implementation. Absorbing new technologies today, again, one of the themes in Dr. Parikh's talk was technological change, where he referred to bringing in technologies, driving down costs, and therefore increasing resource efficiency. As you would be aware, the government has also launched a very ambitious project called Project Sagarmala, which is related to the blue economy. And I thought I will mention something about Project Sagarmala here, because it directly relates to exploitation of resources. It is projected to have an investment of over 8 lakh crores over a period of 20 years. The primary objective of Project Sagarmala is to modernize our ports and promote port-led industrialization. This will also require multimodal transportation, as also the need to boost the economy of the coastal regions. This port-led industrialization, it is important that right from the beginning, environmental issues and greening of the blue ports, or greening of the blue economy, is factored in right in the beginning as a policy, and therefore the major investments that are planned as part of Project Sagarmala need to be environmentally friendly. There has also been an initiative of Project Green Ports, which was launched to integrate with Swachh Bharat, but both on the Project Sagarmala and Green Ports, we are, in terms of implementation, as Dr. Parekh also mentioned, there are a number of hurdles that are being faced already on these projects towards their implementation and in actual delivery. Earlier, for Maritime India Summit was held in Mumbai, in this city itself, where huge amounts were committed towards blue economy, towards investment. 83,000 crores was committed in the shipping sector, port sectors, and allied sectors, and all to be done in a green manner. But very small percentage of this has actually flowed in, has actually taken root. And therefore, in greening the blue economy, there is substantial potential in moving forward. And I think this can be one objective that can be taken forward from this conference. In the Indian Navy, resource efficiency is being accorded high priority, with 140 ships and submarines, over 235 aircraft, more than 67,000 personnel, and 80 establishments comprising naval bases, air stations, dockyards, naval harbors, hospitals, residential areas. Our Navy is one of the largest in the world and dependent on a variety of resources. Recognizing this reality, we have come up with our Indian Navy Energy Conservation Roadmap. While our bases, like those in the Army and the Air Force, have been at the forefront of green initiatives and energy conservation for a long time, the roadmap aims to institutionalize energy conservation in the Navy. The major initiatives under implementation include instituting MARPOL compliance. Some of you may be aware that MARPOL compliance at ports is a major step that can be done to improve environmental status of our ports. This is under the International Convention for Prevention of Pollution from Sea-Going Vessels, which has been developed by the International Maritime Organization. Our new naval harbor at Karwar in Karnataka is 100% MARPOL compliant, which means that strict pollution control norms apply to the management of port and all ships calling there. These norms also apply to treatment and discharge of effluents and wastes, including fuel and oily waste from bilges, sewage, garbage, and even air pollution. A clean energy project to harness tidal power is also planned at Karwar. Other measures include use of electric vehicles and solar-powered charging points for such vehicles. In effect, the Karwar Naval Base is rapidly progressing towards a smart and green naval base. The Indian Navy is also promoting the use of green fuels. Extensive pilot trials of biodiesel on board small ships are in progress. Non-conventional energy sources, such as biogas and solar power, are being increasingly used in our workplaces and residential areas. Waste management, including biomedical waste at our hospitals, effluents, sewage, and solid waste at our dockyards. The naval dockyard, the industrial unit is just a stone's throw from here. Or using treated water for arboriculture and raw water for services in residential areas. There is significant power reduction, resource efficiency, which large industrial units can achieve by setting up capacitor banks for power factor management. At this naval dockyard itself, we have instituted capacitor banks for power factor management, and it has resulted in huge savings, both financially as well as in terms of total consumption of power. So a number of these steps that are being taken in India across different sectors, but as the projections indicate, as was brought out, the steps that are being taken at present are very limited and certainly not adequate to meet the requirements based on the figures that were shown for 2050. And therefore, a concerted effort is needed more towards implementation, I would say, rather than policy formulation itself. It is our duty, not only for ourselves, but more importantly for future generations, that we create an ecosystem that is environmentally sound and resource resilient. This would be possible only through collective action of governments, industry, and citizens alike in the formulation of robust and coherent policies and their speedy implementation and adherence. In the end, I would like to congratulate Indian National Association of the Club of Rome for organizing this conference and wish the delegates and participants very fruitful and enriching 2 days of interactions and deliberations. I look forward to going through the proceedings of the conference once released. Thank you. Jai Hind.